Breedinum Radio, brought to you by Pertinier Outdoors. Your source for the rut update to keep you in the stand and pounding them all season long.
What's up, everybody? Billy here, and welcome back to another edition of Breedinum Radio. This is week 7 of this series. We were planning on being done after last week, week 6, but we ended up having some excitement around here over the last week and a half. So I'm a little late getting this out. I'm recording this on Sunday afternoon, and I actually had recorded this intro back on Wednesday evening, but with some things that happened over the last few days, I was not able to both put out the podcast, and also I did have some exciting stuff happen with myself out in the deer woods. So on this episode, you will hear from my Uncle Tim, who shot his best buck of his life at our family farm, the Harvey family's farm in Lima. So you'll hear his story on his buck. I think you'll enjoy that one. It was a fun story while we were all up at camp together on Wednesday night, the night before Thanksgiving. So you'll hear that animated story. The next one you'll hear will be from Nate Kennedy. Nate has been on Breedinum Radio before. He hunts up in the North Country, up in the Adirondacks, and he's got an exciting story to share about his first buck he's harvested at his family's property up in the Adirondacks. So an exciting story from him. And then lastly, we're going to have Justin Patterson. Justin is someone that I've connected with on Instagram through Pertinier Outdoors. And last weekend he had some excitement shooting a bear with his hunt club up in the Adirondacks as well. So all three of those stories should be fun. I hope everyone enjoys them. And I kind of alluded to some excitement on my end of things. So I've been busting my butt this year, starting with our trip out west. I messed up some opportunities out there on a nice muley, and did not make a shot. Decided not to make a shot on an elk, and ever since I really haven't had much of an opportunity at anything with good horn on its head. So going into this Thanksgiving week, I was very optimistic that I was going to get on some good deer and hopefully have an opportunity to take a shot and put one on the ground. And been a little bit more selective this year. I've been shooting a lot of 2.5-year-olds and a lot of smaller bucks over the years, and I think it's important to do that, and the fact that you need to learn how to put yourself in that situation and learn how to, make that good shot, because it's easier said than done. You can do it by coincidence, but to do it year after year is it's a challenge for sure. So all the different scenarios that can happen, all that stuff, I feel like I've gotten enough under my belt now that I really want to try going after some mature bucks. So with that said, went into the weekend. I already got 3 does, and I was really trying to either, shoot some more does to continue to fill the freezer, and hopefully get an opportunity to good buck, and if not, just hold out until I did have that opportunity to present itself. So Thanksgiving came and went. Didn't have any opportunities. I saw some deer, but got on to deer. Actually was very excited that an area where I had scouted the Sunday after opening day of gun, where I had found some good beds and some good sign of them digging in the snow for acorns. I had marked this on my map, or on my app, my OnX map, of exactly where they were on this side hill, and I went over there Wednesday night and dropped down over the hill, and sure enough, there was deer right there feeding. And I backed out, didn't see any horn, decided not to shoot one of the does, seeing that the deer were definitely hanging in that area. I backed out, came back in the morning, and sure enough, deer were right in exactly the same spot, doing exactly the same thing, feeding, and ended up seeing 2 bucks in that group of deer, first of which was a little bit smaller of a buck and not something I was really looking for at the time. And I didn't really have a good shot opportunity, but I knew right away when I saw him, I was like, that's not the deer I'm after. We've had some really good bucks on camera up at camp, so I was kind of after one of them. And so let him pass, and then all the deer started moving off, feeding in the other direction. And out of nowhere comes this. It was a nice buck. All I saw was a side profile, his beams, and it looked like a good 8-point. And we've got a big wide, we're calling him the wide 8, up at camp. And I believe it was him, but he kind of skirted right through my opening. And then it's all the way that this side hill is. It's just a lot of small little ravines and fingers that go up and down. And he was in a ravine and went up that side into the pines and then dropped away. And I don't know where he went from there. I tried catching up with him. And for those of you that were around New York, that on Thanksgiving morning we had some pretty wild weather. It was, some fronts blowing through, and it went from rain to snow to just blowing crazy sideways snow, and it was very hard to not only see but just to kind of keep track of where things were, and tracks were getting covered up really quick. So anyway, that was Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving came and went, and my next opportunity to get out was Friday afternoon. So I had headed back home for the afternoon on Thanksgiving, and then Friday I headed back to my parents' house in the Honey Falls area and dropped off the little guy, and I was going to head out for an evening hunt. So I got over to my friend's farm, kind of talked to him, talked to a couple of the other guys that had been hunting there to kind of see where they've been putting pressure on during gun and what they've been seeing. So I chose this spot based off of the wind and where there was still some standing corn, because most of the corn at this point had been harvested. And, I'm not really too picky. I was going to the farmland. I just wanted to get a couple does to put in the freezer. He's got a lot of doe permits to fill. So I wanted to help out with that where I could, as well as you never know what you'll see when you're out there on the farm, being that there's so many deer. We know that there's some good bucks running around. So climb up in the stand. I was using my saddle. So I just went in with my pack. I kind of knew the general area, but there's no tree stand set up. So I went in. I found a tree that was pretty close to the edge of the woods, but just inside, not by design, but that was the only tree I could find that I could really get up into with the saddle. Was one that was about 10 yards off the edge of the goldenrod between the two cornfields and a little swamp. So I climb up in the tree, and I'm not up in the tree 30 minutes, and I hear some rustling over in the cattails in the swamp, and I see two does right on the edge of the swamp kind of coming out. So they start feeding around. They come over towards me, actually coming right over to the edge of the woods and start working my way. And I decided to take a shot at the first doe, shot her, dropped her right in her tracks. The last couple of years I've been really, with does especially, I've been trying to shoot them, aiming for the neck and head to try to drop them right there and also not have any meat loss. When I'm shooting does, I really want to maximize the amount of meat, and I'm very confident with my rifle. So shot the first doe, shot her right in the head, dropped her there, and the second doe that was with her did a loop around and went out into the goldenrod, and she was heading north to try to get to the corn, and I shot her and put a good shot on her. She went about 30, 40 yards and piled up right on the edge of the corn. So this is 3:30. It's early. I still got, about an hour and a half left. Well, an hour and a little over an hour left of good shooting light. And so about 4:15, 4:30, start seeing some deer activity, but it was about 4:15 and really started seeing I had a small buck come out of the woods towards the corn. There was a couple does that were milling around, and right about 4:30, 4:35, right towards the end of last light for shooting, I see just out of nowhere in the corn appears a big bodied deer. So I pull my gun up, and I was very confident it was going to be a buck. And as soon as I pulled my gun up, I look in the sights and I see it's got good beams on it. I had again another side profile look at him, and the deer was making its way east in the cornfield, and it was to the north of me. So the wind was good. Deer had no idea I was there, and he's working his way across. And he stops, and he's about 200 yards. So my gun is sighted in for 200 yards as a zero. So I put it right on his shoulder, and honestly, the first shot, I was amped right up. He kind of caught me off guard. I was really excited, and I was kind of wobbling on my first shot. And when I shot, he jumped straight in the air, and so I reload, and he takes off running. He stops, and he's looking around. And at that point, all these things are going through my head. I'm trying to figure out, was I low? By a lot of times when they jump high, I think they're reacting to that because something went below them, and they jump up and kind of startles them. So I aimed a little bit higher on his shoulder, and he was quartering to. Didn't realize that at the time, but he was quartering to a little bit, and I put it right on his shoulder, but I aimed a little bit higher with the crosshairs and shot, and he bucked real hard and just took off running like he had been hit real well. And at this point, all of a sudden, there's deer popping up all over. There must have been a ton of deer bedded in the cornfield. And when I say a ton, there was probably 5 or 6 deer that pop up. And so there's bodies of deer all over the place. But I see the direction where he was going, and I make out that it's him. And at this point, he's into some branches. But, I'm confident I hit him especially with the second shot. But, like folks have said before, if you got a gun and you can take a second shot to try to finish that deer, you got to do it. So I see that it's him going through the tree limbs, and he stops one last time, and I shoot, and then I totally lose him. I have no idea where he went. And he was getting into some taller corn, so I kind of just let him go. I text my brother. I'm like, my God, I just think I just shot a good buck. And he was hunting just across the road from me, so he had heard the shots. And so Jimbo came down and met me right after dark, and we kind of assessed the situation and went back to the farm to get the side by side and kind of strategize a little bit. So we came back about an hour later with the side by side and went and retrieved both those and put the two of them together. And we were going to wait for my dad to come out and look for the deer because, being that it's still in a standing cornfield, a 200-yard shot, you're really not 100% sure exactly where that deer's standing. So Jimmy and I get the two does, and we know Dad's about ready to get headed over, but we weren't really sure he was going to be there. And, in Jimmy's account, the vibe I was getting from him is that he just wanted to get this thing going. And he was probably right, because if I did hit him like I thought I did with the rifle, he wasn't going to go far. In hindsight shows that that's the truth. But so we go out and we got the two does and we go out into the cornfield about to where, it's pitch dark at this point, turn off the headlamps, and I kind of lined them. We were looking at the trees and out in the skylight, where there was a little bit of moon, but it was pretty bright that night. So I'm like, I think if we line right up with that one tree and we head right there in the corn and just start kind of looking around, that's about where I believe he was standing. So we get out there in the cornfield and start kind of walking around, and the ground is wet enough. And Jimmy said, he goes, if this deer, if he was running, there should be tracks left. So that's what we should start out trying to look for, is a good running track of a good sized deer, so we can try to figure out exactly where he was, and then we can try to figure out where he was when you shot him, and if we got blood or not. So we both kind of split up. There was a couple real defined deer trails in the corn there, and sure enough, Jimmy finds a spot where there was some white hair out on both. It would have been on both sides of the deer. So we start following that track. So we identify his track. We start following that trail, but there was no blood at all. So it appeared that it was maybe just a meat hit, or I just skinned either the neck or the belly of the deer where there was some white hair. And so we're following along, no blood, and we're trying to figure out like where we figure that was the first shot. So we're trying to figure out where the second shot was, and we get to a point where the trail wise, and actually my buddy Mike, whose farm it is, calls me and says, hey, you having any luck? What's going on? And right as he called, Jimmy found a drop of blood, and I'm like, well, we just found our first drop of blood. Let me call you back, and when we find out what's going on. So we know the direction the deer went, and so we find a drop of blood, and we start following. And now the deer has left the deer trail, so he's running diagonal through the corn, and we're walking, find a little blood, and Jimmy, we got our flashlights, and we're always looking up ahead of ourselves. Jimmy shines his light up ahead, and you see an area of corn that's all flattened down and matted out. And Jimmy's like, looks at me, and he puts his hand up. He gives me a high five. He's like, you did it. I'm like, holy shit. So we go running up there, and there's the buck. He's laying there dead. And like I said, he went maybe 40 yards from where I believe I made my second shot. So now knowing, and seeing what happened, so that deer, I think on the first shot, I definitely was wobbly, like I said, and I did not put a good shot on him, and I skinned his neck is what I did, and that's what obviously spooked him, and he jumped straight in the air, and that's what caused the hair on both sides. And in that second shot, the way that I had seen him react, I hammered him real good. I got him right behind the shoulder, quartering two, so I center punched the onside lung, and then it exited through the guts on the other side. So it was a good lethal hit, and he didn't go far at all. Like I said, he went 30, 40 yards and piled up right there. So it was awesome. And Dad was just getting there. So we were able to get him over and kind of share that moment with the three of us. It's my best buck. Unfortunately, his G3 on his left side and his brow tine on his left side were both broken, but he would have been a beautiful 8-point. I'm super happy with him. Did not a lot of meat loss there at all. Probably, we'll butcher him this week, but I'm super pleased. It's been a hard season so far. Not a lot of opportunity on good bucks. So right at the last moment there on Friday afternoon, it all came together and was able to put a beautiful buck on the ground. And especially on, in a place where our style of hunting is typically pushing, it was pretty fun to shoot 3 deer that evening on stand. Deer were totally just doing what deer do, and was able to put the 3 of them on the ground. So a pretty special memory. I don't know if that'll ever happen again. It's kind of not very often you get an opportunity to shoot multiple deer in an evening or in a morning or any time. So pretty awesome. Pretty pumped about that. And then Saturday we went back out, and I was the deer dog on Saturday. I walked on 3 of the 4 drives, and on the 4th to last drive I was able to harvest another doe, and my brother was able to shoot a doe as well on the first drive of the day. So we had a pretty productive weekend, and we're having a damn good time. The season's been very fruitful. That's my 7th and Jimmy's 5th. So we are filling the freezers, and can't wait to get to January, February, and get ready to process all this meat so we can start enjoying the burger and the sausage and the fruits of our labor. So awesome stuff there, and hope everyone else has had a good couple weeks of season as it's starting to wind down here. But we still do have about 2 weeks left, and we got muzzleloader, and for ourselves, the group of guys I hunt with, we got a trip to PA coming up here in a couple weeks. We're pretty pumped about that. And then we've also got a muzzleloader season, and we do a trip to Letchworth to get after it down there and try to fill whatever tags we have left. So it's going to be fun. It's been a great season. Thanks for following along with all that. But enough for me yammering along. Let's get on to some of the stories from the other guys. So like I said, we've got my Uncle Tim, we've got Nate Kennedy, and we've got Justin Patterson coming up with some great stories. And if you could, make sure to check out our profiles on Instagram and Facebook. Make sure you like and subscribe there. And if you're going to do any shopping online, especially this holiday season, do us a huge favor by using the link in our profiles on both Instagram and Facebook. If you click on the link that's in our profile, it will take you to a website that will give you the links for Cabela's, Mountain Ops, Camo Fire, Black Ovis, and Buck Knives. Those are the 5 different companies that we've started working with, and any of your purchases will certainly help us keep the podcast and the content coming. So thank you very much. Appreciate everybody's support, and get out there and keep feeding them.
I still feel bad though, so I'm sorry, Bill.
All right, you're okay. All right, give me silence on the ball field.
I think we cleared this up.
No.
I need to find some to pop.
What did I do?
It was shortly after I
Put it in my ear?
So
Yeah.
I was,
Yeah.
I was very moved.
Would you put it in your rear?
You're like, I needed a drink. Billy, shut the fuck up.
Oh yeah, I snapped at him hard.
Huh? What?
Yeah, that's fine.
Huh?
Tim, last Saturday when you shot that big buck, I wished I had shot that big buck, and I apologize for that.
I'm sorry. So while we're all confessing our sins, I'm sorry that I was not also the one to shoot that big buck.
And I'm sorry.
I feel bad that
Joe was laying in bed and he had wished
And I
he had
wish I
done
shot
it.
Joe was in bed.
He rolled over in bed and went, it's pretty comfortable in bed.
I'm sorry I missed
I've
you.
got another 45 years to hunt.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm
why?
actually still pretty happy with my decision.
Yeah. Why blow this opportunity?
Well, Joe has two deer this year and he's hunted like 5 times.
Yeah.
And I have no deer and I've hunted like 37 times.
You've
I've
probably
hunted
you've
deer
probably hunted more than you've ever hunted in your entire
I've
life
hunted my
this year.
ass off. I have a logbook. I created a logbook.
Oh, see, that's your problem. That's your problem right there.
It is.
I went out
There'd
on
be
like-
dead animals on the ground if you were not journaling your
I journal the
adventures.
hunt, the weather,
Really?
what I saw. Yeah.
Are you fixing to write a book?
I think I
You
have
should
my
write a
memoir.
book.
Did you say
It's like
fixin'?
General Legion.
Fixing, yeah. All right, so let's. We're here on Breedinum Radio.
Are we live?
Breedinum Radio.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
I'm-
go for 7 minutes.
I'm the voice of Breedinum Radio.
I always saw you in.
That was you?
Yeah, that's me. Have you heard that?
No.
I have
That's
heard that.
that's me.
I thought you just inserted that
No,
like.
Breedinum Radio. That's me.
That's pretty good.
That's my voice.
That is good.
Brought to you by Pertnier Outdoors.
Sound like fucking Sling Blade.
Yeah. My name is fucking.
You know what I'm talking
My name is fucking Sling Blade.
Billy Bob Thornton.
Brought to you by Pertnier Outdoors. We're giving you New York State hunting, so you get up in a tree and you can slam them all year long.
That's my intro. I came up with that. I was sitting in my back room at my office desk as my wife and my child were sleeping, and I'm overtired, and I'm like, I need to create an intro to Breedinum Radio.
It works. I like
And
it.
I did it. Just like that. I was laughing.
Have you seen Sling Blade?
I have not.
Alright.
What's the
You gotta
difference
go-
between Breedinum Radio and Pertnier Outdoors?
Yeah.
No,
I get confused between the two.
I don't think
Yeah,
you're,
I was
don't
afraid to ask that.
I don't think you're alone. So we're kind of all over the place. We'll be
I
honest.
feel like Breedinum is Breedinum Radio
Breedinum?
is
It's a type of metal. It's on the yeah.
no. I
new-
understand that.
My new arrows are made of breedium.
It's a very strong
It's
metal.
an extra deer season podcast because it's deer season.
Correct. Breedinum Radio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Breedinum Radio is like a deer season special.
Correct.
This is like
Okay.
special edition.
So what we'll do, and this is what we've been doing, is that Log Talk is our actual podcast.
And that's like just a conversation.
Just Log Talk. We don't know what the hell we're going to talk about because we're going to send this log,
Oh.
quote unquote.
Right.
We're going to send this log, and then we're going to talk about whatever the hell we're going to talk about. But then Breedinum Radio is deer season, and would you quit playing footsie with
Here's
me?
the chair.
It makes me very uncomfortable. You're like, oh, is that a foot? That's uncomfortable.
Well, I can't tell what's a foot.
Yeah, it's a foot. It's
After
not
the-
a chair.
After the third time, it's
Yeah,
not
he's
an
like,
accident.
oh, is that meat, sir? Yeah. So yeah, so does that clarify things? Does that clarify it? Breedinum? Does that clarify things?
Yeah,
I was
I get
clarified
it.
from the beginning.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
need clarification.
Yeah, me too. What were you thinking, Joe?
Hashtag me too.
Yeah. Hashtag.
All right, let's hear this Hercules story.
Yeah. So what's this? This huge deer you shot the other day? So I'm sitting here with Uncle Tim. This is Thanksgiving after we just recorded the 17-hour podcast we just did.
Yeah.
So don't
Holy
look at that. It's not important. Time is just a thing that
Right. Passes by.
yeah. So I wanted to, since we're all sitting here, to gather your story for Breedinum Radio
Yeah.
about the gigantic buck you shot.
Yeah, very fortunate. I
past
had a good
weekend.
opportunity at it, and
So you shot a good buck during archery.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you
it
had
was a
some
real
good
buck,
encounters
yeah.
with some other bucks during archery.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
had
let's-
a great season. I missed two good bucks in one morning.
We don't
and
have to talk about that.
Okay, never mind.
No.
But I shot the next one. The next day I shot that one I missed. So, but anyway, we won't talk about that.
Yeah.
A little redemption.
Yeah, you did.
So, but we knew this big buck was in the area. The nephew Sean had gotten trail cam pictures of him. We're in the area. We have an old H tractor with a brush hog on it to cut the paths and stuff. And several bucks, nice bucks, had been walking in that area. I mean, probably within 30, 40, 50 yards of that tractor. And we saw him, and he was just huge. I had to do a double take and say, "Wow, we haven't ever had a deer like that around on camera." And we've had some decent deer, but it seems like this year we've had a ton of good deer, which there's a whole nother topic of why there's so many good deer this year. But you look at it and you see the tine length and the width, and it just blew us away. And so obviously you're thinking of that deer the whole season and hoping that it comes out and maybe get an opportunity. But it's not dumb. It didn't get that big by just walking around in the daytime. So you figure hot doe or something's got to pull it out in front of you. But with other private property around you, people hunting and driving and pushing, you don't know if he's taken or not taken, or you might hear about it if he is. But opening day came and we had a lot of standing corn around. I didn't see anything in my one stand that has been pretty good in the past, but with that weather change, it was really cold. I think they were traveling a little bit less, and they were just going from the corn to the thicket, and our stands were not, they were just inside of that. So I didn't see anything, and I moved to the afternoon hunt. I hunted closer to the corn, just inside the woods. I saw a few smaller bucks and stuff, and does coming out of the corn. I watched them. I passed them. I knew we had some decent bucks around, and then Sunday we hunted out there. and it was quiet. I saw a few deer. Let's see, it was Monday afternoon late. They cut the corn.
When Joe was out there, they cut the corn.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I went out and said, well, I'm going to go hunt that stand near the corn because they might come back out and there's no place to hide type thing. I hunted Monday afternoon, or Tuesday, I'm sorry. The corn was cut.
It's okay.
And
okay.
you forgive me?
That's all right.
All right. I saw a bunch of doe and stuff, but I didn't see any bucks, didn't see much. So I said, well, just work the rest of the week. And then Saturday we went out. And I talked to Chris, and we said, hey, let's hit it. Let's go back out to his property in Lima. And made a plan. He said he's going to hunt the front of the woods. And I said, well, I'm going to go back and pondering between what two stands to hunt. I figured I'll hunt the Lookout. Hadn't been there yet this year. It's a stand that's, if you can picture, it's overlooking a big old goldenrod field. We used to farm it years ago with my dad. And now it's goldenrod for, 30 years. And some big shrubs and bush. And we mowed some paths through it. A big thicket behind you. You're in a hedgerow. There's a big thicket behind you and thicket and swamp beside you. And you can... What?
You know what I'm thinking about.
Yes. Would you like to share?
Monty Python.
There's a Holy Grail reference. Shrubbery.
Oh, the shrubbery, yeah. My name is Tim. I'm the shrubberer. So, anyways, I go out. So I go out to the stand. And the funny thing is, I'm drinking a coffee on the way out, and I try to finish my mug of coffee by the time I get to my stand. About halfway out.
Wait. You drink coffee while you're walking through the
Carries
woods?
a travel mug.
I have a travel mug.
Are you serious?
Well, I live like 2 minutes from where we park.
It's not enough time to drink a full cup of coffee.
No. And so then it's 3/4 of a mile walk back in.
So when do you have to take a shit?
This morning. That's part of where I'm going to.
This is a great part of the story.
So it's a full week later you take a shit? You once a week?
back into the water.
Oh, okay.
You got to hear this whole story.
Okay, all right, go
Yeah,
ahead.
the shit.
Proceed with this.
Well,
story.
normally, if you must know my bowel movements, I don't normally dump in the morning, ever. It's not a morning thing. But I don't know what it is. That morning, I'm halfway out, and I'm drinking my coffee. I go, damn, I got to take a dump. I feel the urge coming on. And I was already, it's a long walk out. I'm trying not to work up a sweat hiking out there. And, it was a clear sky. You see stars. I'm like, fuck, it's going to be getting light early. So as I'm getting out there, I'm like, what do I do? I got to take a dump. So I'm getting to the stand. And this has never happened before. But I said, instead of going up the stand and coming down in 15, 20 minutes, half hour, I might as well just go dump now. So I said I went off. I took a dump before I even got in the tree, which is weird.
How far from the
It is weird. It's bizarre.
Well, what was your question?
How far from the tree did this happen?
Not real far.
Okay.
Like 20, 30 feet. I went
Was
back
there
to the
any?
thicket.
Was there any water? For you
There
to
was
dump
no
in?
water for my water dump. It could not. It went too far to go to
So
the swamp.
do you hug a tree? How do you do it?
You lean. You do your back and
You're a leaner?
work on your quads. You just suspend yourself.
See, I challenge you to find a decent. You don't want too big of a tree, but you want maybe something maybe 6 inches in diameter,
Right.
and hug it with one arm. And you lean back.
I've never thought of that.
Dude, I'm telling you, I started doing it when I was out west, backpack hunting. You'll never go to the bathroom in the woods again a different way. So you lean, you get a real deep squat, and it's like a natural, just a funnel coming out.
But isn't it better just to lean against a tree and squat?
No, it's not.
Why?
Because it's just not natural.
But you're
And
still.
then what about when you got to go number one?
We just stand up.
Stand up.
What do you mean?
All right. So we're totally off,
A little bit.
but this is
So you
important,
squat when you pee?
huh? No.
That is what he's saying.
I'm saying
That's
you
what I
should
heard.
you
He
hold
doesn't know
you
what to
hold the
When
tree,
you're
Yeah.
standing up and
you hold the tree like this,
Right.
and you grab a cheek.
Your own.
Yeah, not some,
Probably your mouth or the other one.
the other one.
All right.
And you just
You grab
hold
a
it.
cheek.
Yeah,
What do you?
to keep the.
What the fuck do you grab your ass for when you shit? It just occurred to me what you said. You grab a cheek.
It's to help so you have as close to a ghost as possible.
What?
Do you know what a ghost is?
No.
No.
wiper.
It's a no wiper.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
you
I
want
got-
as much
alright.
separation as possible. So
Well,
that you don't have anything
I had
to
been
worry
drinking
about.
a lot of craft beer the night before.
Okay, all right. Okay, so let's circle back around. So
Alright.
you took a nature
Yes.
a nature dookie.
I did, and I quick covered up with leaves and sticks. Not that it matters. And I was bummed out. I do. I try to camouflage.
Yeah, right. No, you're
know.
all about it.
Yeah.
So like somebody else comes along, they don't see it,
Yeah, right.
So then I climb the tree, and I get up in the tree, and I'm sitting there, and it's it's just getting light. So I'm hanging out, and like, man, this is a beautiful morning. It was honestly a beautiful morning. It was cold and crisp, and no air moving at all. I mean, maybe like a 1 or 2 mile an hour south-southwest. I put out a scent thing too. That scent.
Oh, shit.
No, well, yeah, that did go out. But honestly, does a deer know the difference? Do they? I don't know, but
Craft beer shits. I don't know.
yeah, maybe. But anyways, I'm in the stand, and it's a beautiful morning. I got to be sitting there for a little while. It was maybe 7:15 or so, just light, and after legal shooting light. And I'm just sitting there, all of a sudden, a couple small doe, yippers would come. I believe they were young deer, like 6-8 month old deer. Come trotting in quick, half trotting, running from my right to my left from the corner of the thicket. And then the second one, the last one stops and is looking behind and just staring. And I'm like, to me, it's always a good thing when you see a doe come running into your area and stop. And then the other one, they move off a little bit and she stops again. I said, damn, it's got to be, I'm guessing a buck is coming, push him along. And I was thinking, well, all right, what am I going to shoot? Is it another spike or 4-point pushing these along? I said, I don't want to shoot a small deer. I was thinking Chris hadn't got a buck yet. And I go, I don't want to go shooting another deer yet. He hasn't got I felt bad. He hasn't got a shot yet at a buck. And then I saw this come in. I'm looking through the branch and I just see tines coming. It's got 12, 14-inch tines on it. And I go,
I
holy.
thought there was a 13-incher there. I heard 13.
That's
alleged.
It's 14.
It's not accurate.
Adam measured. I measured 12, 13. He measured 14. I don't know.
So let's just say 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty damn.
But it was, I saw long tines, and I said, holy crap, this is a nice buck. And then so I said, don't look at the rack. You're going to shoot. So I have my muzzle loader, and so I have one shot, which at the time you're like, damn, why do you want to carry a muzzle loader with one shot?
Yeah.
But,
Thank God you're not Joe, because apparently Joe shoots 17 times.
yeah, right. So, and I have a shooting stick. I'm on a hang-on stand, hanging on the side of the tree. And I have a shooting stick, just it extends out. And I already had it set to the height that I wanted to shoot in different directions. It was only probably at the most 70 yards. And it's coming along the same trail as the doe did. And it'd walk a little bit, and then it would kind of like lumber ahead, and then stop and look around, and I stop and I'm like, well, I'll wait till it crosses this mowed path in front of me, and it'll be a wide open shot. And it stopped a little bit, and I'm looking at it through the scope, and then it lumbers ahead again a little bit, and I'm thinking, man, what if it gets up to that path and just bolts and shit, and I got to do a running shot? So it stopped there, I was looking around, and I was on it, I was looking at it with the scope, and I said, damn, you can make this shot. I I could see the top of his back and then like the height just about to his shoulder and above. And I said, just come in on top of the shoulder in that scapula area. Just shoot. I said, you can make this shot right now. Just do it. And so I did. I shot, and I just saw him drop instantly. There's all that smoke from the muzzle loader. But I did see him just drop. And I was like, holy shit, he did just drop. So you're taking it all in, and I'm just staring and watching and watching. And I said, oh, damn, reload, dumbass. If he gets up, something happens, and you wounded him. So then you're trying to, I felt stupid like the first time I ever loaded a muzzle loader. You're like, what do I put in first? Where's my primers? Where, get the pellets in. And then I'm looking the whole time, and you get everything in place and get the pellets and the bullet down in. And I get it down, get a glove and push it down in with a rod, get it set. Then I'm watching, and as all this is coming about, I'm like, holy fuck, I got to shit again. It hit me. I'm not even kidding. It hit me like, oh my God. And Chris, meanwhile, texted me and said, that sounded close. And I just like,
Yeah, I heard the shot
I just
on
like,
the other side of the property, and couldn't quite tell where it was from, but it was close. And I texted him, I go, that sounded close. And he's like, yeah, it was me. And I was like, holy shit.
And it was, I didn't even do the, yeah, it was. I just went, me. You know, like, I can't. Yeah. So then he was like, what'd you shoot? And he was like, tripled up on text. What is it? Buck? Doe? Any good? You know, all that. And I'm like, yeah, buck. I forget what the hell I texted. And he's like, oh, is it down? And I go, yeah, down. I got to go check it. And he was like, well, I'll start coming here. I go, wait a minute. I got to take a crap. I said, wait a minute. So I had to get back down. I don't know what it was, nerves or something. It hit me like it was not debatable. I had to go again. So I went again. I had the gun reloaded. I lowered it down safely out of the stand and the rope. Did my business, untied it, and walked over there. And I'm walking down the mowed path, and I look down through as I get to it, and I walk up and I go, holy crap! It was the one you mess around and name it. That's like the cool thing to do. But we call him Hercules. Chris started calling him, but he's just so tall and mammoth that I've never seen anything like this. And I didn't realize it was actually that buck. I knew it was a really nice buck, but I didn't know it was that buck. And on his G2, he's got 2 stickers coming off of it, and I saw that.
Such
I go,
a unique deer.
I went, oh my God, this is fucking Hercules. I'm like. And it was like, we've talked earlier about the importance of how cool it is to be at your property, whether it be here at the Naples camp or in Lima. And Lima, it's got importance to myself and Chris. As we grew up there, we used to farm that property.
How long have you been hunting that property?
40 years, literally.
Literally since you've been able to hunt, you've been hunting.
Yeah,
Tim's never stopped hunting it.
Yeah.
When everybody else was, when I came home from the Marines, Tim was the only one. Like everybody was up here, and Tim was hunting that by himself on opening day.
Yeah.
And I was getting deer.
You would kill a buck every opening day.
Every opening day in that one spot until that field grew up too much. But so this was really cool. I mean, it was not to sound funny. It was like borderline emotional. Like, holy crap! I just shot the biggest buck of my life.
Oh yeah.
On property that we used to work and farm. We've hunted here forever, and we knew the buck was there, and it came out by.
We had video of him.
Yeah, Chris had video of him when he was out goose hunting. He ran out.
So that is the buck you saw during goose season.
Absolutely, September 6th, whatever Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, I remember you showing me that video, and I think when we sat down to do the podcast about going to Colorado, you had showed me that video. It's Colorado.
I never
it's
thought
crazy.
I'd see him. I thought he'd be nocturnal.
Yeah, I know, and it was hot does. It brought him out.
He was trying to breed him.
Yeah, definitely was. Chris went back home, got a side by side, and thank God saved dragging it 3/4 of a mile out. But I was just pumped up. Chris got out there, and we're high fiving and just like, holy crap! It took me forever just to dress him out and gun him because I would start, and I would just stop and text, and that's when I sent the text out to everybody that we were talking about cutting deer on Monday, and I said, well, you guys will get to meet Hercules now. And then Otis and your dad's like, really? Yeah. What? No shit. But I was just so nerved up. I didn't know what to do. I had like gloves to dress out. I'll carry gloves with me. And I took them. I had them and then took them off. I started to dress, and I figured, well, wait till Chris gets here. I wanted to see the deer just as it lays here. Yeah. Then get some pictures. So we didn't dress it out yet. Then I dressed it out and even put the gloves on. I was just like a wreck.
Mess, yeah.
But it was cool. It's probably I'll never forget that.
And it was early, right? It was first thing in the morning.
7:15, literally.
Because
I shot,
Dad texted me early. I don't know what time you texted Dad.
Yeah.
But so I took this last weekend off. I voluntold terribly.
Yeah.
Was told that I was going to take the weekend off. So I didn't hunt this past weekend.
Yeah.
And that was Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So Saturday morning, right off the bat, here's you shooting this just giant buck.
Yeah.
That you've been after, that you guys have been talking about all season.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, without being 100%, it's tough, but I'm pretty sure I saw him the last Sunday of muzzleloader last year. We were out hunting the same area, that thicket, just on the other side of it, and he was after a doe, chasing a doe, and he ran across. I could look out of the thicket in the winter wheat field, and the doe came running along, half running, trotting, and stopped, looked behind her, and took off. I'm like, well, that was odd. Like then it was like 8 in the morning, like daylight, 8:30. I'm like, then he trot along and stop. I'm like, oh my God.
He's a big
He was like 100 yards away, and he just caught me off guard. And I had the muzzle loader, his muzzle loader season. And I started to get it up, and I didn't want to hurry a shot. I never took a shot, and I texted Chris. I said, there's a big freaking buck chasing a doe. Then we never saw him again. I thought he'd work in and around, and we never saw him again.
Interesting.
And, you know, it was just like this, one of the biggest bucks I've ever seen. And I didn't realize, of course, he got a little bigger this year, and we got the pictures of him. And, you know, so by the time we got him out, you know, phone was blowing up, and people knew it. Friends, you sent, my nephew Joe here, sent text to a buddy, to another buddy, and I'm friends with his buddy's dad, and hey, congratulations. Like, how the hell did you find out already? Yeah. But it's, when you kill...
When you kill a buck like that, like,
yeah, it's,
like that's like the same thing up here. Like if somebody, whether it's one of us or one of our neighbors, kills Frankenbeans,
yeah,
like that's going to be something that's going to spread quick.
Because
those deer are few and far between. Like,
yeah, it was, you know, it was. I could have, you know, been in any other stand, or maybe he's gone by stands we haven't been in. I mean, you got to be out there. We're out there. We're trying real hard, but you never know. Where they bedded that day? What are they found? Where's the hot doe? You don't know, and it's just fortunate to get a shot.
Patience, right? Patience.
Yeah, and I've had a fun season, but it's a fun season when you're seeing deer. You know, last year was a bad season for me. The year before was not great. So it's I don't know. Just sometimes things change, and you know.
I think from when we talked about your archery buck, like that was you were going to different spots, you were trying different things, you were kind of moving around, and I think it's the same thing with this. This was the first time you were in that stand. You know, it was fresh, and
right.
I think there's something to it. Like I've been talking with the guys with the Kirsches that I hunt with back home. Like, we're trying to back off on the pressure of some of our key spots so that when we have those good days with perfect wind and perfect temperature,
right.
Like, then we're approaching those stands and getting in there when it's like, it's the day.
Yeah.
And it may not happen that day, but that's your best opportunity.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, oh, this is my best spot, I'm going to go hunt it regardless of what the wind is or what the temperature is. Like, I think looking at that stuff and then looking at your stand and saying, is that stand good for this wind or that weather condition?
Right.
I think there's something to it.
There's that piece of property in Geneseo I hunt. In archery, I went, and I swear it's not on a big hill, but you know where you're on 20 and it drops down there to the bottom where that the alfalfa plant is. It does. The wind is different there. I'm at my stand or on my truck, heading to walk back in the stand. It's dark out, and the wind was out of, I can't remember. I think it was out of the I don't know. Whatever it was appealing to me at the time to go to this one spot. And then the day before I'd hunted it, and the wind was out of the west, southwest, and everything was coming downhill by me, going back down towards the corn, I believe. And they were winding me. And I said, oh, shit. Then that next morning, I can't remember where it was. It was out a different direction slightly. Maybe it was out of like the dead south. And I'm like, okay, that's not bad. And I went up there and climbed up the stand. I got there, and like it was out of the southwest. I'm like, mother. I'm like, I got down out of it and went to another stand. I said, why bother hunting it? They're going to do the same thing. I went out of it, and I hunted another stand that was like 80, 90 yards away, and I had a nice doe come out, and I shot that doe with my bow, you know, by 7:30. So, but it's like, you know what, screw it. Don't be stupid. Don't stay here and get busted, you know. So, you know, sometimes you try to push and say, I want to be here, even though the wind's not good.
Yeah.
You know?
You force a spot when you know it's not the right situation or setup for a spot.
Yeah. So, but you know, back to that big buck Hercules. It was, you know, unfortunate. You know, you got to be out there, but it's fortunate to get a shot and an opportunity, and you know, never forget it. Best buck of my life.
Yeah, and you could feel it. That morning was perfect.
Yeah.
I could feel. I got in the stand. We had the warm weather, and then it got cold, and there was like the frost on the goldenrods.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was calm.
I killed so many bucks on mornings like
it was calm and clear sky. It was really
gorgeous.
just a cool morning. You know, like you could tell. I know you didn't get out, so I feel a little bit bad.
No, I didn't hunt.
Yeah.
I was watching
SpongeBob.
The Hunting Public, I think, at that point, drinking a cup of coffee.
That's cool too.
Yeah. No, Sarah was sleeping, Billy was sleeping, and I was sitting there watching the beautiful morning. sunrise.
That's rewarding.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
God
much.
bless America.
Yeah.
And
So
I'm not bitter.
no, I don't sense that.
She doesn't listen to this anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I'm super happy for you, and it's
Thank you.
really fun to see, folks really close to this group that I consider like my hunting group to be my immediate family, but also my
Right.
friends that I hunt with. And you shoot that's your best buck ever.
Right.
You've been hunting for your entire life, really. As soon as you've been able to hunt, you've been hunting. It's been a huge part of your life. So
Right.
it's not like you have deviated from that. Like, you've always pursued this, and you finally, at your age, have shot your best buck ever.
Yeah.
And my buddy Brad shoots his best buck ever. And that's, like, it's awesome to see what you... Is there something funny?
What?
You got an issue?
What?
So it's super... just Joe, he's distracting.
Yeah.
His hat's camouflage. I can't see his head now, But it's super exciting to see success close. And then you're also looking afar and seeing so many people having success shooting these huge deer.
Yes.
And it's
Unbelievable year.
I mean, I'd be lying if I wasn't jealous. I'm super jealous.
Yeah. It's
I really want, I want so bad to shoot a big buck. But that's my goal, and it will eventually come to me.
It's I've
it's-
been through hunting phases where, like when I had that property lease behind my house, I'm only shooting a big buck there. It's only a wall hanger, and that is it. I pass bucks, but then I've come out like, all right, you can't take the fun out of hunting too.
Right.
Because I want meat in the freezer, and you got to come up with that mixture of like I want to hunt, I want a good buck if I can, but I do want meat in the freezer. I love eating venison, and I do want to be successful. It feels good, but it does add another dimension when you have good deer. Like, you know what, there's good deer, I'll hold a little bit. And this is one of those years I felt that you could hold and still have an opportunity. It was one of that just felt it was right.
Yeah.
And it was right. That, last year I talked to the taxidermist I took the buck to at the Whitetail Creations with Cliff, and he said, this year, he goes, I can't remember the exact number. He said on opening day, he goes, I took in, it was like 30 or 50 deer on opening day this year. It was something like that.
Cliff in Canandaigua area.
Yeah, by Toomey's Corners
What's
there.
his name?
Whitesell.
Yeah,
What's-
right. He's super active on social media.
Yeah. Well, he goes, I took in, I can't remember the number. I'll say 30 deer, 50 deer on opening day. He goes, they're all nice. He goes, you know what I took in last year on opening day? He goes, I took 3. He goes, last year with the snow, the cold,
It
the
kept
deer.
people-
He goes, everybody thought it was going to be a bloodbath. Well, the snow, he goes, the deer hunkered down. He goes, I think they didn't move. And everything he's saying was right. He goes, there were people who weren't out. Nobody wanted to trudge to their favorite stand. They went to the closest stand, which wasn't true for us. We trudged wherever we wanted.
But this year was, it was bitter cold. Like, I don't know about you guys, but this year on
it was
opening
super
day,
cold.
I didn't hear shit for shots.
No.
Around
Not
us,
a big-
no. But that's a good point too. But I think a lot of deer made it through last year.
Right, they made it through gun season last year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
your heaviest pressure is the first week of gun season, and
Yeah.
after that, it's fairly quiet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Thanksgiving morning last year, it was single digits and a foot of snow climbing up the hill here.
Right.
So, but it was just weird. Something weird phenomenon where we just had like a ton of nice deer, and it's like,
and it's statewide. We're seeing it everywhere.
and part of it is make you think like, you know what? Maybe I'll hold off on shooting some smaller deer. Maybe you'll wait and. You take a doe or two, or whatever.
It's worth it. It's worth it. And I think, like, that's it for me. Like, I have this ticking clock that I need to get some does. During archery, it's like, man, if I don't get a doe or two shot with my bow, it's like I feel like the pressure's on. But if I get those does down, I have the meat in the freezer, and then it's like, okay, I can chill back,
Right.
and I can start
Wait.
focusing on trying to shoot a mature buck.
Yeah, yeah, you don't feel pressured and all that. Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. If a good doe goes by, I'm going to shoot her.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that opportunity. I was kind of holding off on Lima because I'd like to see more does, but I got that property in Geneseo I can go to. I feel like they got a ton of deer and doe.
Yeah.
So it worked out. But yeah, it's sometimes it's on and sometimes that. But this has been a really good year.
Yeah.
I want to see everybody have success. honestly, at this point. And so it's been good.
It's been very good.
Yeah.
Congratulations. We're super happy that I think all of us sitting here are super happy that you shot that buck.
Well,
and it didn't matter who shot it, really. It was just like somebody in the group.
We wanted somebody in the group to get it. Yeah,
and
me or Chris or Joe or Sean.
I can't wait to find out, and that's what's unique about our family. Like, we're not all about the inches.
Yeah.
So it's funny. Like, other folks are like, the first thing they do is they get that buck to the shop and they measure it and want to know what it measures. And for us, it's like, it's a beautiful deer. It's
I can think of in the past, whether it be 20 years ago or when I was really more focused on how big a deer. I want to kill one over 125. Until somebody asked, like Joel stopped by and I talked to him, like, well, how big are the brows? I'm like, I don't know. I haven't measured anything. I look at it and I'm just like, holy crap, that's a good fucking buck,
Yeah.
Then with the tines that long, I'm like, I don't know. I'm just so tickled to death. It's like, it is what it is, and I'm happy,
Yeah. It's a giant, and I can't wait to find out what it does actually score, because I'm sure you'll do really well with it. And you should be super proud of it. So pretty happy. Yeah, obviously very happy. Pretty happy. Not satisfied, but pretty happy.
No, I'm out of my mind.
Let's wrap this shit up. God damn it, it's almost 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Cheers.
It's time to go hunt.
Dilly.
Yeah.
Are we gonna go hunting right now?
Sleep and then hunt.
It's a new moon, so it's too dark out, but we'll go hunt. We'll go hunt tomorrow.
All right, we'll do that.
I gotta go pee first.
Okay.
So joining me on the Breedinum hotline again is Nate Kennedy. Nate was on, might have been week 2 or 3, don't remember. It was too long ago and too many days of rut ago. Can't think straight. So Nate, thanks for jumping back on. How are you, sir?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm doing great. Doing great. Tagged out. Cooking Thanksgiving turkey. Loving life.
Amen to that. It's awesome. So you just teased that a little bit, and anybody who's been following along with us, we had shared that picture of the buck that you shot. So I guess since the last time we talked, kind of how has the season been for you guys up in the North Country, and then we'll kind of get into your story about the buck you got.
It's been pretty good. We've been doing the weekend warrior thing. I live a couple hours from our camp, and I've been working, so it's, work during the week, and then I've been spending every weekend with my uncles and my grandfather, my dad hunting up north and just outside the Adirondack Park and up in Region 6, and it's been great. It's kind of interesting. We're running trail cameras this year at camp for the first time ever, and it's pretty much driving everybody nuts because we're not seeing, it's a big woods, so we're not seeing a ton of deer while we're out, but we're getting crazy pictures that we've never seen before and all these big bucks and bears. And but it's been a fun season. We've been up there just about every weekend and, seeing a few does here and there and some sign, and it's been great. It's been fun.
Interesting. So you're seeing some bucks that you may not have known were there if you guys are just running cameras now, so you're starting to see, is it a lot of nighttime activity, or what are you seeing up there?
Yep, nighttime activity right up until, like, last week. We were getting giant bucks at, midnight and 1 a.m., and, the spike horns are out at 9 a.m. and 10 a.m., but, we're seeing more bucks than ever before just because we were running cameras for the first time, and got big 10-point on there and a big 7, a bunch of smaller bucks, and it's been interesting. But like I say, it's just about driving everybody crazy. You know how it is.
Yep. Trail cameras are a love-hate relationship. Sometimes I wonder if we'd be better off without them, but it is another fun angle of it to kind of know what's there, and it definitely keeps your mind turning all the time, wondering what's happening on the cameras when you're not there.
A lot of people losing sleep over it, I think.
Yep. As if it isn't hard enough already to sleep this time of year.
No doubt.
So cool. So let's jump into your story. So I guess run us through the whole scenario, what happened, how it all went down with the buck you were able to put on the ground last weekend.
Yeah, so like I say, we've got some really great bucks on camera. I've been hunting up there, my whole life, and we have a lease where my parents live too, and I've shot a few bucks there, and I hunt in central New York a little bit, and I've shot some deer over the years, but I have yet to get a camp buck. So it's like, kind of like this big goal of mine was to shoot one up to camp, and there's not a ton of deer up there, so we finally get these pictures, and everybody's hunting really hard and kind of getting into the rut up there. It's last weekend before last, I think the weekend of the 9th, we hunted really hard, and there was some big tracks, and the scrapes are starting to pick up, and so we're all being pretty strategic with how we've been chasing these deer. And so last week I took a vacation finally, and I hit the woods last weekend, and Saturday morning I was actually feeling pretty guilty because I sat around enjoying the wood stove and drinking coffee, feet kicked up until 9 in the morning or something like that. And I don't think I got into the woods until 10. But up there, a lot of the bigger deer that have been shot over the years have been shot kind of midday. So it was great, just kind of nice day, and a little bit of fresh snow, pretty crunchy and loud, but just hiked a little ways from camp down into a spot where actually my dad had lost a big buck years and years ago, and my grandfather used to sit there a lot, and I hadn't hunted there in a couple of years. And I just sat down and, kind of watching this big ridge above me, and down below me there's like a really steep cliff and a ravine, and that goes along this big swamp kind of swale grass edge. And years ago they shot a lot of big bucks in that area. Nobody shot one there in quite some time, but I just kind of sat down and was hoping for the best, and I knew it was a good travel corridor, and I knew it's one of the only areas up there that we ever see a good amount of does. And yeah, it was like 11 a.m., and I was honestly only sitting there about an hour, and I was already having that feeling like, well, I got a lot of time left this week. Maybe I'll walk. Maybe I'll mosey back to camp. And I don't know. I definitely wasn't grinding it out too much, but it was great. I just heard some crunching ice way down beneath me along the swale grass, and I kind of had to pick my head up because the hill was so steep. And I looked down, and the first thing I saw was horns. And like I said, I've never shot a buck up there, so I've been passing some small bucks the last couple of years, but I knew that there was at least a few horns on this thing, so I made up my mind quickly, and he kind of come through some brush, and I waited for a shot, and I thought I was going to lose him, and my knees were clacking together, and it was awesome. I made a great shot on him, and he just dropped instantly, and I had a private party and celebrated right there in the woods very loudly. It was awesome.
That is awesome.
It was really cool.
So, and that is awesome. And I'd seen some of the pictures you posted, especially you posted those pictures today, and I was like, I got to get Nate on here. You just explain to me what it means to you, to harvest that buck, and what it looks like the family tradition that you have up there. I mean, you got the whole damn family with you in the picture. So what does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's my great grandfather bought the original property in the 60s, and my grandfather built a camp there in the 70s and 80s and 90s. My uncles and my grandfather have been shooting bucks and raising us kids to hunt, and my whole family goes up, and we all kind of have this little compound of 4 or 5 hunting camps, and we just have a great time. We do the weekend thing, and it's the best time of the year for us, and it means the world to us. And yeah, my generation, my cousins and I, have never got it done up there. We've never shot a buck up there, and it's been like this curse for the last few years that we've all been joking about how it's our turn, it's our time to shine. And this was it. This was the first buck for our generation up there, and I was alone in the woods, and it was the buck, dropped at the bottom of this steep cliff, and I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to scale this cliff and climb down there and put my hands on that deer. And then I was thinking to myself, my dad had driven out to town that morning. He's tagged out also, and he went out to get a haircut, and I knew everybody else was in the woods, and I said, nope, I'm going to sit here for a few minutes and make sure that deer's dead, and then I'm going to go back to camp and wait and get everybody together. And that's what I did. I about sprinted back to camp, and I got there, and nobody was there but my mom. Everybody was out in the woods, but kind of stood on a tall spot and got a little tiny bit of cell service and got a text out, and maybe half hour of waiting, everybody was back, and we circled the wagons, so to speak, and yeah, we took the whole crew down in there, and it was really awesome. It was just about what I wanted my whole life. It was cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that
Yep.
I think the more I'm kind of in that. I really want to. I've never shot a big mature buck. I've shot a bunch of good, respectable 2-year-olds, and I'm kind of on that quest myself to try to get a big mature buck. But then hearing stories like this brings me back to earth too, to remind me what it's truly about. And I still want to shoot one of those big bucks because I'm seeing them getting shot. And I got people close to me that are having incredible success this year. But you can't lose track of what all this means and in the family tradition behind it. And probably one of my some of my favorite memories of shooting bucks was not the inches of the horns. It was who was sitting around me hugging and high-fiving and that kind of camaraderie around it. So your pictures definitely brought that gravity back to me, and good on you for being the first in your generation to get it done up there. So that's awesome.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it was the perfect day, and I slept like a baby.
I bet. So that was that, and then I seen you post some stuff yesterday. So you took out a friend, and you guys had some success as well. So I guess kind of run through that story there.
Yeah. So at the end of the weekend, we left camp, and we're headed back up today for the Thanksgiving holiday and the rest of the week. But we came back down to where my parents live, still northern New York, but not in the mountains. And I took my deer to the processor and kind of just enjoying the home life a little bit, still on vacation, and was hanging out with my oldest friend. And he's a big time fisherman, big time duck hunter, goose hunter. But he doesn't do a ton of deer hunting. Maybe once or twice a year he gets out. He's had years in the past where he hunted a little more, but only ever shot one deer in the past. And we were just kind of talking, and I said, I've got my lease, and I don't have a buck tag, and we've got the time, and most of the water's froze, so the duck hunting's probably not great where we're at. And I said, "You want to go?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." He was pumped, and we it was kind of ridiculous. We walked in, and he was talking to me in the truck right before we got out, and he was like, "Well, I haven't shot a deer in a while. Like, do you care if, what do you want me to shoot? What do you not want me to shoot?" I said, "If you see a buck and it makes you happy, shoot it. Not gonna put any restrictions on it. We're my oldest friend in the world and hadn't been hunting in a while, so we hiked in, and we're both 6'4" and 6'6", and we get in this little buddy stand, nice and cozy, and we're sitting there goofing off and talking, and maybe 5 minutes had gone by. I didn't have gloves on yet. Like maybe 5-6 minutes had gone by, and I said to him, I think I'm hearing stuff already. It feels a little early to be hearing stuff. We just sat down. We just got in here and made a lot of noise getting in. And I said, I feel like I'm hearing something. He said, I think I see a deer. And I was like, really? He said, yeah, right to the right. It's a doe. And it walked out, and it stepped out real close to us. And I said, it's a spike horn. And my buddy you could hear him trying to control his breathing. He went from, 0 to 100. He was pumped. And he's just heavy breathing, and I was like, shoot him. And it was about 7 yards with the 30-06. And he pulled up and he shot him, and we were both so excited we about fell out of the tree. And it was a nice, respectable spike horn, on right behind my parents' house, and it was awesome. We couldn't have been more excited. It's been a really good week.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and that's same deal. Who cares what the size of the rack is? That's something that you two will never forget. Good friends, and I shared the story that I had last year with my buddy Connor and getting him his first deer, and it just doesn't matter. Yes, everybody wants a big buck, but at the end of the day, it just doesn't matter. Some of these experiences and some of these memories that come together, you just don't reflect back on the size of the horns. It's the fun that's had and the memory that's created and the meat that's provided at the end of the day. So,
no doubt, you would have thought it was the king of the forest. You know what I mean? You would have thought it was the racker, because he was so stoked. You know what I mean? Smile ear to ear, and he's probably still smiling.
Yeah, I'm smiling talking about it, so I can only imagine.
No doubt. It was awesome. Pretty blessed around here these days. It was great.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Well, I just wanted to get you on, get your story, and I appreciate you following along, and you got deer on the ground. You're a pro staffer. I mean, you got it all going on. So
No
good
doubt,
for you,
no
buddy.
doubt. Another North Country kid just shot a nice bear up here. I saw you were chatting back and forth with him a little bit, my buddy Justin there.
So do you know Justin?
I do, yeah, we grew up together.
Oh, no kidding. Okay, because
I haven't seen him in quite a while, though.
I sent him a message to see if he would jump on because I'd love to hear that. That looked pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The pictures he posted and then packing the bear out over a log, like that's some cool stuff. So
he's doing it big. He's doing it right. So I would love to hear that. Hopefully they get on there. That's awesome.
Yeah, he responded back and said he'd love to. So I'm gonna try to get with him soon and probably put it out with the same episode. So
good deal. And you still have a buck tag, am I right?
I do. I've got 3 does in the cooler, and I'd like to get another maybe 1 or 2, and then I really want to get a buck on the ground. So I think I've got enough meat in the freezer, so I don't think I'm going to settle for anything just because it's got horn on its head. But I got my buck, 2 buck tags left here in New York with my muzzleloader tag still in hand, and then got a trip to Pennsylvania where we've got 10 or 12 guys going down there for 3 days. The weekend of like the 10th, 11th, 12th. I guess it'd be the weekend of the 12th of December. So we go down there and ransack the state land down there and see if we can put the bucks on the
Southerners.
ground, so.
Love it.
Yeah.
Good deal, man. Well, hey, enjoy it. It'll be March soon, and there'll be 4 foot of snow, and you'll be praying and wishing that it was still deer season. So.
All right, amen to that.
Yep.
All right, stay in touch, buddy. Have a good Thanksgiving, and congratulations again on the success in the woods.
Thank you, sir. Back at you.
All right, thanks. See ya.
Yep. Bye.
Bye. Bye. On the horn with us on the Breedinum hotline is Justin Patterson. So, Justin, I guess kind of give a rundown of where you're from. You and I connected, through Instagram on Pert Near Outdoors, and I guess you're buddies with Nate Kennedy. I guess that's,
yep.
I don't know if that's how you heard of us or how you found us, but yeah, we kind of connected through Instagram. And so where are you from and where do you spend a lot of your time hunting?
Yeah, so I'm from Ogdensburg, New York. I used to hunt around that area for deer a little bit. Not anymore. I pretty much, all my focus is in the Adirondacks. Specifically, my hunting club, I belong to 2, the Stillwater Club and the Moosehead Outing Club. The Stillwater Club is really cool. We've been a club since 1893. We have about 15,000 acres is our lease. So we have 2 rivers that run through the property, 2 brooks, native brook trout fishing, stockfish ponds, deer. Teaming with rough grouse is great for my Springer Spaniel.
Wow.
Yeah, good place to run around.
That's something that we should get back together on because I'd love to dig into that to understand kind of, because that's a pretty popular thing up in the Adirondacks is these hunt clubs. And it's something down western New York. It's something that's so far from, I guess there's probably a few here and there, but that's not a normal thing, but it's very common up north. So we should get together and chat about that sometime because that's pretty interesting.
It is. It is. It's really unique. Yeah, and you hear other places like up in Maine where you can pretty much just roam wherever you want. Hunting clubs are inexistent.
Right. Interesting. So, were you hunting on one of your hunting club properties when the magic happened this past weekend?
Yeah, I was. We were deer hunting up to camp, and the way Stillwater's set up, that's where I got the bear. We're split into 2 different sides. You belong to the whole club, but because we're so large for management purposes and just for easier hunting management, we're split into 2 groups. So I belong to the North Branch side. We hunt the north end of the property. And it was the first hunt in the morning. All we really do is drive. You have a little bit of, you can sit in stands in the morning if you feel like it, but we also like to play hard. So we went in for our first hunt, and I was a driver. I was the third driver in the group. We had about 17 to 20 guns that day. I can't remember the exact amount. We're going to go in, we're going to drive off this piece of property. And almost instantly we had shooting. I think there was 13 shots. They weren't all from our group. The middle branch, the guys from the southern end of the property, they were hunting close by too, but they were close enough. From my position, it was hard to tell who was shooting. But there's shots in the drive, so everybody's all pumped up.
I guess real quick explain, because some of the folks that are listening might not know, you're saying a driver. What does that mean? And in the style of hunting that you guys are doing, what does that mean to have so many drivers and so many guns?
Okay, yeah. Thanks for stopping me. I don't always realize, right? Okay,
yeah.
So what we
you don't have everybody out there hot rodding them,
Mm-hmm. We get around this one piece of property and we'll try to surround it on 2 or 3 sides with watchers or standers, just guys that are strategically placed through the woods, along a trail, road, whatever. And then as a driver, we line up on the other side and we push the property off to them. And it's not, or a lot of people think of, we're going to go drive off this piece of property. It's you just hammer down and push these deer out and they're coming out scared. Well, we've done this since 1893 and they're keen to us. So they're always trying to get back, use the lay of the land in their advantage to get back through the drive or just lay down and not get pushed at all. Right. So as being a younger guy, I get to drive a lot, and it is so cool to get on a track of a deer, especially now when we still have snow up to camp, and see how that deer reacts to the drive and being able to trail it and put some pressure on it and make it do what you want. Or not, or it outsmarts you. It's really fun. Really fun.
So do you guys, this is something I'm curious about because we do a very similar method down in Pennsylvania in the mountains, and I'm curious, do you guys have anybody staggered back behind the drive to catch some of those deer that squirt through and double back?
Every once in a while. We call them pimps. I don't know how the term.
You call them what?
We call them pimps. A guy that's silent going behind the drive.
Yeah, funny.
I'm 29 years old. I've hunted up there my whole life. Always been called a pimp. Somebody that's quiet that hangs back. But we do every once in a while. Usually, we always need enough people in the main portion of the drive line to we can't afford to send anybody back.
Right.
But we make noise most of our drives just to help keep everybody in line and for a safety standpoint. That way the watchers know when we're getting close so they can be conscious, of their shot opportunities. Usually by the time drivers are close enough to the watchers, the damage has been done and not much is coming out at that point.
Right. All right, so the scene is set. So you were one of the walkers, and
yes.
So what happened with the bear?
So the shooting starts, and whenever there's shots, I like to stop and give a good 30 seconds and listen, make sure nothing's coming. So with all the shooting in the drive, it's kind of taken forever. So I finally get down into this evergreen area out of these hardwoods, and I'm in this area of land between old beaver pond that's all dried up and this swale grass section. By swale grass, I mean, yellow canary grass, goldenrod, pretty much just an open meadow of grass and maybe a little bit of brush. Mm-hmm. And so I'm dotting through the evergreens, and I'm just keeping an eye out in that swale grass. I'm starting to get kind of close to the watchers. And there's a little island of spruce out there, maybe 35 yards to my right, just inside the swale grass. And I catch something moving through it. And I go, oh, it's a bear. So I swing and I click my safety off, and it's going through the swale grass, and I lose it completely. Then I can just see the top of that bear moving through. And that's when I shoot the the first time as it's moving through this grass, and I ended up hitting it high right behind the shoulder. And I just like to say, this is also something that's different than, I know you guys like to do a lot of stand hunting, right? Mm-hmm. You might not always get that broadside stop shot. We're on the ground moving these animals, and usually that's the shot we get, is a moving shot.
Yeah, so you don't get a lot of good, perfect broadside standing still opportunities for sure when you're doing those still hunts.
Yeah. So, but this was to me, that was a pretty good opportunity. It was broadside to me, and I could see through the grass where I was shooting. That's a good shot. So I hit him high, right behind the shoulders, and it makes a beeline for the thick spruce that I just drove through. That's right behind me. So I can just see it going through the spruce, and it's running hard now. And I take 2 shots quick with my Model 7. And then it spins, and the bear is coming right at me. And I'm thinking to myself in the back of my head, it'll probably just run through you or run by you, but you're still thinking, I hope this next shot stops it. And so I have a scope on my gun, and I wish I had open sights. I take the last shot right underneath its nose in the brisket, and it was just enough when I shot. It changed its direction, took 3 more bounds, and died 10 yards right to my left.
Jesus.
And I just had to.
Oh, my God.
And I'm thinking to myself, because 2 years ago I shot a 275-pound boar. I shot it 65 yards up through the beach slash. The bear did the same thing. First shot, it ran right to me.
Oh, my God.
And that was a lot scarier because this bear wasn't as big as that one. But
oh, really? It looked like a pretty good size. The bear you got looked like a pretty good size bear.
Well, I kind of thought it was going to go 120. We don't have the biggest bears up here in the Adirondacks. And my taxidermist friend in the picture with me, with the bear and the pole, I think you saw that one also on my Instagram. He's a taxidermist friend of mine. He gets a lot of bears. He thought it was going to go 130. It actually ended up going 95, but it had barely any fat on its back. It was a full-grown sow. It was just so lean. I've never seen a bear that lean before.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. So I wonder. So it'll be interesting to find out when you get that age. How old did you get the information back on the bear that you shot? The other one you shot?
Yeah, that bear was 9.5 years old. Yep.
And I shot a sow about 10 years ago, and she was 10 years old, or she was 9 years old, almost 10. Mm-hmm. And she was 210 pounds. And that, so just in reference, yours was 225 pounds, and mine was 210.
275.
Oh, yours is 270. That's a big bear. I don't care. And I think a lot of people, your first instinct, you saw the bear that you shot just now, that thing comes barreling at you, it looks like a 300-pound animal or 400-pound animal, but in all reality, it's just not as heavy as you think it is.
And bears are hard to judge, like Brian says, because he's done taxidermy on so many of them. And you take a 9 or 10-year-old bear. Mine was 275 from 2 years ago, and 20 miles away, one got shot that was almost 400. He took the hide and fat off, and the carcass weighed the same amount.
Jeez.
Yeah, there's not really too much to them.
No.
But the story actually gets better. So we dragged the bear out to this trail, which is essentially, it's not even a goat path. It's paint on the trees pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And the master of our hunt, the guy that's telling us what we're going to do that day, says, leave the bear. We'll come back later today with our rhino, our side-by-side, and we'll get it later. So a good plan. Now we put a stick in the cavity and leave it there in the trail. We do another hunt. After the next hunt, Steve, our guide, comes up and says to Brian and I, why don't you go back to camp, get my rhino, and drive all the way back around. Now, to get to the bear with the rhino, we have to go past the foot trail that we were on and drive all the way around on this road, then down 2 different trails to get to it, but we won't have to drag it. And the rhino is, I'll tell you this, it's rough. You got to take a hose out and blow into a hose as you turn the key because it loses pressure in the tank.
What?
Oh, yeah. You got to zip tie a piece of plexiglass as a windshield. She's on the rough side.
Yeah.
We drive down in there maybe 100 yards from the bear. Drag the bear up to the rhino. Go to turn the key. Nothing. Doesn't turn over. Doesn't click. Nothing. And we're thinking, oh, damn. What are we going to do? And so we pull the hood up, and we're looking at stuff. And I go, Brian, I don't know anything about mechanics. He goes, yeah, me either. So we're poking and prodding, and Brian, every once in a while, he turns the key, and you just hear tick, 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 tick. And so we find the starter on it, buried right underneath the carb. You can't tap on it or nothing. As we're figuring out what to do, we have no cell service. We're out of radio contact from the boys. I have 1 bar, I guess. I'm trying to text Steve, and he's distraught. He's had a bad day. And everyone's on. Brian turns that key, and the starter gets a little louder. Well, now it's 20 after 4, and the starter finally gives 1 crank of the engine, and that's it. So we're like, well, we kind of got to get out now. It's getting dark. I said, I don't want to really leave the bear in the woods. That's not fair to the animal. Leave it in there overnight. And we both didn't want to drag it, because it was going to be like 1/3 of a mile, the best way to the road, and that was over 2 beaver dams. Or you turn around the other way was like 3/4 of a mile to a mile, but it's all uphill, and we're a lot farther from camp. So he said, well, why don't we put it on a pole? I said, I'll try it. But I've heard stories of men doing that before with deer or bear, and all they do is sway and bounce around, and it was a terrible time.
Yeah.
So Brian finds a pole. I lash its legs together. We pick up the pole. We don't even get the bear off the ground, and it snaps right in half.
The pole
we find
did?
a new pole. Yeah, pole did. So we find a new pole. At least the legs are already tied. We shove it through, and we pick it up on our shoulders. We take a few steps and go, holy cow, that's downright comfortable. So there we go, downhill, toting this bear out. Every once in a while we have to set it down, back up on our shoulders. We pass where I had drug it out to the trail originally, and we cross the first beaver dam, no problem. Second beaver dam, no problem. And we set it down for a second, and some guys ended up meeting us at the head of this trail with a truck. And they go to grab the pole, and I said, what are you doing? We'll get it from here. I said, no, you're not. I made it this far. We're carrying this bear out the whole way.
Damn right.
So back up on our shoulders, in the last 75 yards, we made it out. But
that's awesome.
The whole experience of it was really, really cool.
Yeah, that's a pretty wild, that's a wild experience. It's cool that, in a way, it's kind of cool that the rhino broke down, so you had to do that, because that's something you and your buddy will remember forever, carrying that thing out of there like that. And, that's hunting back in the backwoods. That's awesome. And I get kind of the same kick out of it. I kind of like dragging deer. I shot a doe on opening day here in an area where there's no wheeled vehicles or bikes or carts or anything. And I dragged the whole deer out. And I'm sure half the guys that I hunt with are probably like, you're stupid, why are you doing that? But it's just kind of like doing it old time, There's something about not using a four-wheeler and using technology and just going out there and kind of doing it the way that our fathers and our grandfathers did before any of this stuff came along,
It's all part of the experience. And that's what I eat up about hunting the Adirondacks.
Yep.
Everything like that.
That's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, that's congratulations. You're the first bear story I had on here. When I saw your picture you posted the day you shot the bear, I assume with with the quick little blurb about how close the bear was when it died, I was like, holy shit, I got to hear this story. And
yeah,
that's
I
pretty
wish
cool.
it was more of a trophy bear to say, to go with it. But I mean, it wasn't a cover or anything. But
yeah, but you know what? Like, how many hours are hunted by so many people? And my dad last year shot his first bear. He's been hunting bears 35, 40 years. Never even had an opportunity. He's seen bears, but never had an opportunity to shoot one. So it's like, it's just sweet to put one on the ground and, you enjoy the meat, and it's something that you don't get very often. So it's kind of a, regardless of the size of it, that's the trophy, is the memory and the experience that you had with that, for sure.
Oh, and this will be a great eating bear too.
Yeah.
A lot better than a big old boar.
Yeah, definitely. So how much more season do you guys have left up there?
I have 2 weeks. Obviously Thanksgiving tomorrow. I'm going up to camp tomorrow night, and then the following weekend. But we don't hunt the last Sunday of the season. We have a big to-do the last Saturday, and Sundays pick up camp, break it down for winter.
Drink Gatorade, recover a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Then I might do a little bit of duck hunting and right into busting the brush with the dog again.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, good deal. Congratulations on that. I appreciate you jumping on here, and kind of enjoyed following along with some of your stuff, and I appreciate you following along with us. And maybe one of these days we'll cross paths somewhere.
Definitely. I'm honored somebody thought I'd be so interesting.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's why I'll tell you what, I'm really enjoying doing this because I'm meeting a ton of people across the state, and there's a lot of really cool stories to be told. And, sometimes all you hear is, the monster buck or the record this or record that. But, I think that the average guy like you or me that's out there just trying to get an adventure and get a wild experience, there's something to be said for that. And I don't know, I'm enjoying it. I hope people that are listening are enjoying it. I think it's kind of cool to share those everyday man stories, man and woman stories.
It is.
So cheers to that. And I guess, what's your Instagram handle? Because you do kind of post some cool stuff with your bird hunting, fishing, and stuff like that.
It's at mtmanjustin27 on Instagram, and you can follow hashtag Stillwater Club, all lowercase letters, for updates from anything that's happening at the club.
Cool. Yeah, and we should try to maybe over the winter or something when things calm down a little bit. It'd be fun to get you on the phone again to chat kind of about some of the the history of the club you belong to, and kind of there's got to be some great stories to be told of some things that have happened over the years and how it all came about, stuff like that. So I'd love to pick your brain on it.
Countless. And, if any of you guys ever want to kind of try to take part in that tradition, just get at me and we could make a day or weekend of it.
Might have to take you up on that.
Anytime.
All right, man. Thanks for jumping on. Congratulations again. Okay. And happy Thanksgiving.
Yep, you too. Happy Thanksgiving, Billy. Thanks for having me.
Take it easy, Justin.
Yep.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.